Welcome to The Counteroffer with Jenny Kim and Meredith Alderson.
We're two top producing realtors in Austin, and we're going to talk to you about lifestyle, business, and what really happens behind the deals.
The Counteroffer with Meredith, Alderson, and Jenny Kim.
Jenny, we've known each other for such a long time, but I don't know that I actually know how you got started in real estate.
Likewise, I don't think I know either. But Meredith, before we jump in, I think I have to admit that I've been a big fangirl from, even before I got into real estate, because I would see your name and you were just kind of everywhere at the time. And so I've known about you for a long time, even before we met, but I also don't know how you got into real estate. So I would love to hear your story and how you got started.
You are so sweet. Thank you for saying that. I'm a fangirl too.
Aw.
My story goes back to I went to college in the Midwest to Indiana University. Go Hoosiers. And now everyone suddenly knows who the Hoosiers are. For the
I
first
didn't
time.
know
Yeah.
until as of late.
Right.
So
Thank you, Fernando Mendoza, if you're out there listening. So I went to Indiana, and all of my friends that were leaving were going either to Chicago or in Indianapolis. And I just thought, if I'm going to be poor and not have a job, why not go someplace that I always wanted to explore? So I had a friend that was going to San Francisco, and she said, do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sounds amazing.
Of all places, you will definitely be poor in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, this is in the late 90s. And so we bought one-way tickets. We packed one bag and we went.
Wow.
And this girl that she knew from her sorority picked us up at the airport. I'd never met this woman before. She let us move into her apartment, which the three of us shared. My friend and I, who bought the one-way tickets, we shared a room. So it was like going back to childhood. It felt like a little bit, even though we were in our 20s.
Like dorm rooms.
Yeah. We shared a room. We got jobs, and at the time you found jobs through a headhunter, right? It was just kind of the way you did it because there was no LinkedIn. There was nothing like that. So I got a job. I had gone to art school and I had a focus in graphic design. So I was looking for some sort of artistic position to do design work. And I ended up getting a job with an asset management company, financial services firm.
So random.
I know.
Like go from
right?
like art to finance.
Like very conservative, very buttoned up, suit everyday kind of situation. And it was amazing because I was doing their web design. I was doing all the graphic design for all of their marketing materials. And it was just really fun. And along with that, I hadn't really taken a lot of business classes, but I was interested in it. So I got to learn while I was there about the business side of things while also using my artistic skills.
This was during the 90s. So this is before like the .com boom, right?
It was just starting to happen. It was the best time. I mean, everyone thinks their time in San Francisco was the best time, but that was legit.
Truly the best time. Okay, I believe.
While I was working at this asset management company, we used this software, and this consultant came in one day, and she was in her 20s, and she was traveling every week across the country to visit clients, and she had a corporate credit card, and I just thought that life looked so glamorous.
Want that.
Yeah. So she was like, you should apply. It's really great. Everyone's young and smart, and it's just really, really fun. And the .com boom was happening. So I applied, got this job, and moved over to tech. And I ended up spending 15 years of my career at this tech company working in financial services technology. And I had worked my way up to a director role by the time I had left, but it was an incredible experience. I did travel all over the country.
And like during such formative years, no husband, no kids, like you could just totally focus on your career and travel.
It was amazing.
Wow.
I did meet my husband there. So shout out to Advent Software because that was where
you
it all
guys
started. So it was incredible. We're in our 20s living in San Francisco, working in tech. It was just the absolute best. Yeah. But at some point, I had a big birthday, and I was like, is this really what I'm going to do for the rest of my life?
Wait, what was the big birthday?
40.
Oh, 40. Okay, that's a big one.
So we had 3 little kids at the time, and I just didn't think that was my life's work, right? So I felt like if I'm ever going to make a move, this is the time. But it's scary to leave corporate. Yeah, I'm excited to hear your story too.
Because I am also a corporate girly, and making that transition was probably one of the hardest,
it's scary.
Best decisions.
Yeah, for sure the best. The golden handcuffs is a real thing, right? You feel like I've worked so hard to get to where I am, and now I'm legitimately going back to zero.
Like a path, like you had a destination, you were trying to, work up that ladder, and then to just jump off the ladder, like literally.
Especially being a woman doing it, because there's no certainty. And, it was getting to a point in the 2000s, early 2000s, where it was like they needed female leaders. Right. And so there was a path for that,
Right.
but it wasn't for
I
me.
mean, was there like a moment in your corporate career where you were like, okay, like this is not for me? Like, when did you know you had to jump off the ladder?
Mostly because I was traveling so much and had 3 little kids. And I was like, I'm missing so much. I would be gone for 3, 4, 5 days at a time.
Wow.
And then my husband and I would be swapping our car with all the car seats at the airport because then he'd have to go on a trip.
Yeah.
And I just thought, this is not how it should be.
Right.
Like, I was just missing too much as a mom. I knew that I was meant to work full time. That's just who I am.
Right. But not in that way.
But not in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to be more present. So anyway, I had this friend who had been whispering in my ear for a while that I should consider real estate. And I had never really considered that as a career. But once I decided to leave corporate, I felt like, I of course had a passion for design and architecture just coming from art school. It was always something I loved to do. My mom was a designer. My parents both have amazing taste. Always interesting. And so I ended up getting my license.
Wow.
And
that's so like opposite ends. Like
Totally.
finance, corporate,
Totally.
to like business owner doing real estate.
And I really don't think I knew what I was signing up for, right? At the
I don't think
time,
anyone does.
like, I don't think I was thinking of it as I'm going to start my own business. I was just going to go work at a brokerage, right? And so I felt like I was trading one career for another career, but it is so different.
Yeah.
So got my license. 6 months after getting my license, my husband took a job in Austin, and we made the move to Austin.
Oh, so you guys were not in Austin at this time.
We were not.
Where did you move from?
So at the time we were living in Kentucky. So
Okay.
we'd gone from San Francisco to Louisville, Kentucky, and then he took a job in Austin.
Wow.
So we made the move to Austin. Our kids were still young enough that it made sense. And I had just left my career. I had just gotten my license, and I thought,
So you were
I could do
licensed
this
in
again.
Kentucky, in
I
Louisville.
was,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. So do you still have your license?
I don't.
No?
I let
Okay.
it go
All
because
right.
I knew we weren't going back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then I got my license in Texas. And while I was getting my license here, my kids had gone off to school. My husband had gone off to his new job. Everyone was busy. And for the first time in my life, I found myself basically at home every day alone with no job, right? So
Yeah.
I was studying, but I was like, this is not for me. Like,
Yeah.
I've never lived my life this way. We call it the dark period. It's been a dark period for me.
The being by myself in my hole of a house.
Yeah, in a
not being
state
around
where
anyone.
I knew
Yeah,
a
you're
city
brand
I
new
knew
to the
no
city.
one.
Right.
So it felt very, very foreign. And we moved into this massive rental house when we got here because
Wait,
it's
where did
just
you
like
land when you came to Austin?
in
I'm so curious.
Westlake.
In Westlake, okay.
We had no idea, like
You didn't
everything
know.
was just so big here.
Yeah.
We moved from a 2,400 square foot house into like a 5,000 5-bedroom, 2
in Westlake Hills of all places.
Yeah, so it was a lot of change. However, it was awesome because
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sit in this house and just study for my test and wait. So I took that time and I just got out in my car and I drove and drove and drove. And I learned the city, the schools, where things were, the suburbs. And it was really like my
little did you
training.
know that like being in your car as a realtor is truly where you will live.
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew you'd be driving around every single day for the rest of your life?
So, and then here I am today.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's been a transition from that day one of landing in Austin, but it's been an incredible journey, which I'm sure we'll get into some of the details. But you tell me about you.
Well, funny enough, my journey into real estate is not very different from yours. I also come from a corporate background, but I moved to Austin from Los Angeles. Don't tell anybody. And I went to UCLA and started off in entertainment, as most Angelinos do. My first job was at Variety Magazine, which is an entertainment trade publication, and at the time was truly like every girl's dream to work as either a publicist or, an events manager or something. And I got a job in the marketing department working on events. And I truly felt like I hit the jackpot. Like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I was very much envisioning like Samantha Jones, like being out and about and, mingling with the stars. And it truly felt like that.
That is a dream.
It was, and I was, 22?
Wait, are you from California?
I am. Born and raised in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took this job and it did suck my soul for sure. I think being in entertainment at that time, you see a lot and you're just kind of thrown into the trenches, but it was still amazing.
And probably getting paid nothing.
Nothing, literally nothing. And so I started doing that, and then I segued into tech. and I joined a startup in Los Angeles. And this was like, again, when there were so many darling startups, happening. And so I was really excited about joining a very small company and spent many years there just also grinding and being in a startup culture, which was cool at the time, and I could never do that again. But as a young 20-year-old, it was perfect, and I really got my hands dirty and just doing all the things,
Learned
and
everything,
wearing a million hats, right?
Yeah.
And then we're expanding. We were doing great. We ended up acquiring a company here in Austin, and so that's actually what brought me to Austin, was this big acquisition. And I'd been with the company a few years, so I kind of came out to lead that. And
Wait,
then
were you excited about that move?
I
from
was,
California to
I was
Texas?
a little bit conflicted
Yeah.
because I was such a California girl, and I never imagined, of all places, to move to Texas. Like,
Right.
Texas was just not on my
Right.
radar, right?
Yeah.
I visited, and back then it was 2014, and it was a small town, like nothing like it is today. It was charming, it was different, and it was exciting. Tom and I had just gotten married, and I think there was a part of us that was like, we want to start something new and just for ourselves, right? Because in Los Angeles, our families, our friends, our my school, like just everything had been there. So coming to Austin where we knew nobody, had no network, was really exciting for us as a newlywed couple.
Gosh, it takes so much courage to do that, right? To leave everything
Yeah.
that's so comfortable.
Yeah, and just even like your job prospects, we
Yeah.
could have easily segued into whatever we wanted in Los Angeles because we had a network.
Yeah.
But moving to Austin, we didn't know a soul. So it was exciting, scary for sure. But
Wait, can we pause there for one
Yeah.
second? You and I both moved here around the same time, so 2014, 2015. We didn't know anybody here.
Yep.
Can we just celebrate where we are today?
High five.
That's pretty
High
awesome.
five. Snaps all around, because especially doing what we do, not having that built-in network
Yeah.
is really hard to
Yeah.
jump off from.
Like, we didn't go to college here.
No, we didn't know anybody. No one wanted to buy a house with us.
But now they do.
Yeah, they do. So yeah, we moved to Austin. My husband was in tech at the same time too, and he, moved here, and his business partner had moved here at the same time as well. So he was doing that thing. And then I had my babies. I had my first baby. Julian was born in 2016. Yeah, he's almost 10. And at the time when I was pregnant, our company actually got acquired by a pretty big company. We got acquired by Grubhub, and I was fortunate enough to stay on through the acquisition, went on maternity leave, came back, and was absolutely miserable. Like, just could not
Everything
handle.
had changed.
Everything had changed.
Well, both in your job and your personal life.
100%.
Yeah.
And even coming back to work was so jarring because the acquisition had completed by that time. My team was very different. I was also required to travel back and forth from Chicago. And I just remember one of those trips, like pumping in the airport and then pumping on the airplane. And I vividly remember, like, this one time pumping on the airplane and just like spilling all my milk in the bathroom. And as a first-time mom, it was like my world had ended. I was just sobbing uncontrollably because obviously, like, the milk that you work so hard to pump to feed your baby, and now
Liquid gold.
it's on the bathroom floor. And
Oh,
I remember
so
coming back from that
sorry.
trip and just being like, I can't do this. This is not how I want to spend my time when my baby's 4 months old at home.
Yeah.
And so I came back from that trip, gave my 2 weeks, and effectively ended my corporate career. But at that time I had always thought I'll go back, because same with you. Like, I just knew I was going to be a working mom. But I ended up actually staying home with my kids for 3 years. And during that time, Miles was born, and I really got to spend those early years with them. And that's something I will forever be grateful for and cherish, because I'll never get those years back. But around that time, I started getting the itch to, what am I going to do next? And of course, I started then going through Indeed and looking at, okay, what other corporate job am I going to get? I could do like marketing, I could do business development, I could do sales. And at that time, Tom had also left his tech job and decided he wanted to get into real estate. And so he got licensed, and he then, of course, he's a serial entrepreneur. So was like, oh yeah, I like the real estate stuff, but I think I'm going to flip homes. like literally zero experience flipping homes.
Okay, we just love change, apparently.
I know. We really like the riskiness and like the
Yeah.
unknown, apparently. And so while I was home with the kids, he was doing that, and then he somehow graduated to, well, now I want to build houses. And again, like zero experience. He's one of those people that will just immerse himself in something until he's the best at it.
Well, and look where he is now.
Yeah.
That's really incredible.
Yeah. So he and I then, we were doing the real estate thing, and I was still at home with the kids, and I was helping him build that business, and he started Juneberry Homes, which is now, a luxury spec builder here in Austin. And once he segued into that, and I was really looking for my next thing, he was like, well, why don't you just do real estate? Like we've already been kind of doing it together. You've been helping me. And so I did. I got licensed, and
What year was that?
that was 2019. So
6 years you've been in the business.
yeah, a seven.
And
almost
look
seven,
what
yeah.
you've done.
Yeah, I feel.
It's-
I mean,
It's so impressive.
I-
and him too. Like the power couple of real estate right
oh,
here.
That's so sweet. I mean, we definitely feel fortunate. I think we've had a lot of help. Tom met an amazing mentor at the beginning of his career that really took him under his wing and helped him, build Juneberry Homes to what it is today. And I think we were also so lucky to be in Austin during like truly the golden years, right, in real estate. Like obviously it was insane. 2020, 2021 into 2022 was just chaos. But I feel so fortunate that we were here during that time and was really able to throw ourselves into the business.
Right.
and
Just
grow.
jump right in.
Yeah.
I look back at those years with very mixed emotions.
Oh God.
It was incredible.
But like talk about
But
PTSD.
Wow. I never can go back to that
I'm saying.
phase.
I mean,
It was
Meredith,
so
I had to get
unhealthy.
therapy because of those years. Because
Yeah.
I was so like it sucked my soul for sure.
For
Like,
sure.
Yeah, especially being a newer agent and not having boundaries and
Well,
not
and
knowing
that way
what's
you
normal.
didn't have perspective,
Right.
right? You're
I
like,
was
is this what people do?
Right.
Like,
and you eat what you hunt, right?
Yeah.
In our industry. So I was just like, okay, I gotta keep this
You
train
couldn't
going.
stop.
You couldn't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
But
I would say
man,
it was like a runaway train that you were like trying to hop off, but you couldn't.
You
It was just
couldn't.
like going so fast.
yeah. And you just didn't have a moment to even think like, is this the train I want to be on?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it just was
yeah.
going so fast.
Well, and we had no idea when it was going to end.
Right.
So, and what that would look like on the other
I mean,
side.
for you though, because when did you get licensed?
So I got to Texas in 2015. I got my license at the very end of the year. So essentially, I started my business here in
So
2015.
you had already been in it for a few
Yeah,
years before
I had a
COVID.
couple of years for sure.
I mean, what was that? Obviously, no one could have predicted that, but that shift from those 4 years in your early days to then COVID.
yeah.
Like, did you just have to completely was your business just completely flipped on its head?
I mean, I had a really good business going into COVID. Where I started my career in Austin, a brokerage that was generating a lot of leads. And so I was busy from day
Yeah.
one. It wasn't like it took me years to get momentum. I was busy. And I was driving all over and I had a lot of clients. And that really, I mean, in this business, it snowballs,
Yeah,
right? Like
it
you
really
have.
does.
If you do a great job, people will refer you.
Right.
And so that did snowball pretty quickly. So Jenny, when you got your license, where did you start?
Oh gosh. Okay. So when we first got our license, Tom and I, we definitely looked at some of the bigger ones, some of the smaller ones. And I don't know what we were thinking, but we just thought like, oh yeah, anyone will take us. Like obviously we're capable humans. We're licensed. Of course someone will take us. It was actually harder than we thought,
I agree.
But a lot of brokerages were very selective.
Mhm.
After speaking to so many different agents and really learning about all the big players and working with other agents at different brokerages, you start to understand, oh, okay, there are some differences.
Yeah, and I think there's different fits for different times in your life and your
For
career
sure,
too,
yeah.
right? Like when I got here, I started a boutique brokerage and it was perfect for that time because I did need a little bit more hands-on support.
Yeah.
But I also didn't know anybody. So I needed a place that was also going to be driving leads and directing leads
Yeah.
my way. And that did help me build my business very quickly. But you get to a point too where you're like, I am doing this and I'm building someone else's name and someone
Yeah.
else's brand. And I think for a lot of agents, that's okay.
Right.
Because that's
Especially in the beginning.
Yeah,
Like
they
you're
don't-
just trying to close.
exactly. But that's my first transition came after I felt like, wait, I'm doing the work
Mhm.
and I'm doing a great job and people are referring me. Like, could I do this on my own?
Right. And that's like the biggest question I think a lot of agents struggle with is, can I do this without the name of the broker or the brokerage that I'm working for? And, when I joined EXP, it's only been about a year and a half. That was my biggest hang up is like, can I hold my business on my own? Right. Because when you come to EXP, like you're effectively your own business owner, which is one of the beautiful offerings of EXP. And that leap was hard.
It's scary. But are you doing it?
I'm doing it. And I am.
And are you so proud of yourself?
Proud of myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just feel like there's no limit now, and everything that I'm doing, every single system, every single piece of marketing, every deal, every relationship that I'm building is for me, right? And for my name and for my life. And so that feels really good.
That's the best part about this business is like whatever effort you're willing to put into it is what you will get out of it, right? So you want to dial it up, you want to dial it back, you have the flexibility to do that.
Right, 100%.
I'm kind of a single speed kind of girl.
What do you mean? Like
just like I just go for it.
I am not surprised.
Like, I've never been able to dial it back, but that works for me. And
wait, are you a marathon runner?
No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, you strike me as you would be like a marathon, like an athlete marathon. Like, are you an athlete in any? Were you an athlete?
I mean, I would say no because my family they're all incredible athletes, and I'm like the one that is not.
Oh, you're like the artsy.
Right? Like,
are you?
My sister played college tennis. My brother played college tennis. My one brother's a trainer. My sister's a trainer. My dad's an incredible tennis player.
Oh, wow. Okay, you come from a family of athletes.
My sister's an ultra marathon runner. My husband's a marathoner.
Okay, well, it's a compliment, Meredith, that you strike me as like a super athlete. Like you must have played something like collegiate volleyball or something.
No, but if you only knew me in college, that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm just like I'm very, very driven. But that's what's so cool about this business is like the way I do things is not for everyone.
Right.
But if I can share some of the things that have worked for me and people pick it up and then I pick up things from other people, you kind of develop this special recipe of like who you are as an agent. 100%. And let's be real, there's plenty of business for all of us.
Yeah,
right?
I know. And it also like strikes me as, obviously I don't know many realtors in other cities, but Austin has like the most amazing agents.
I agree.
Like every agent that not every, let's be real, but most agents that I've done deals with, I'm always impressed.
Yeah.
Like they ran that deal really well, you know, or they did things that maybe I wouldn't have done, but I learned from it, right? I feel like Austin has a breed of agents that is just next level.
Maybe a lot of cities do feel like that, but I do think you're right. I think we have something so special here in Austin. And Jenny, the spring market's coming up. So that means we get to work with all those great agents again.
I can't believe spring's already here. Okay, speaking of spring, what are you bringing into the spring, Meredith? What are some of your ins and what are some of your outs for this year?
Okay, so some of my ins, collaboration, right? I feel like one of the things I've learned to appreciate so deeply being at EXP, and this is probably everywhere, and maybe it's time in my life, but just how supportive everyone is of each other and how we really are building each other up and not tearing each other down. Okay. Like at the end of the day, we're all competitors, but it never feels that way when 100%. I'm with the people that support me.
Yeah, I love that in. Me, an in would be giving more feedback after showings. I am guilty of also dodging those calls from listing agents, but I get it too, you know, and I call every showing that happens on my listings just begging for feedback. Yeah. So I think for the sake of all of us listing agents, let's all try to give more feedback.
That's a really good one. Because it doesn't really have to be the buyer feedback either. It could just be like, hey, as a professional in this industry, here's what I thought about your price, your condition, whatever.
And like, here are some things I would recommend if you want to show better, right? Like, I want to know what I can do to improve my listings. So yeah, I think
that makes us all better. Yeah. I love that. Okay, and out for me, gray paint.
Oh, the gray paint.
Over gray paint.
Okay, like, but what kind of gray? Because I think like slate gray can be very posh and like chic.
Light gray, like icy gray.
Cold gray.
Yeah. Not into it.
I agree with that one.
It had its moment, but that moment is past.
Yeah. So one of my outs for this year is not doing enough self-care. I feel like I mean, with my kids and even my husband, I'm so on top of all the doctor's appointments and all the things and the vitamins and all of the things that they need to be doing to be healthy. And when it comes to myself, I'm always like bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah.
So that's out.
You have a lot on your plate.
I do, but if mom is not up and running, then like nobody is up and running. So
Right.
I think putting ourselves last is out. Like we really have to, at least for me, I really need to
Oh, I love
prioritize
that.
my
Okay.
health this year.
I'm going to make that a goal too.
Yay. We all should. Thank you so much for joining us on the Counter Offer. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
It was so much fun,
Yeah,
Jenny.
it really was.
Be sure to follow us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, or YouTube.